Good morning. Welcome to the 4th annual Jets Over Deland. We have 87 registered pilots this morning and 125 aircraft here. You're going to see lots of action today and tomorrow. Sit back and relax.
And first off the deck this morning will be Carl Spurlock in his Byron's F-15 Eagle. This is a Byron's kit, uses a pair of OS91s for power, Fataba 5-channel radio for guidance system. Weighs 26 pounds, has a 60-inch wingspan. Carl Spurlock is from Des Moines, Iowa, and Carl is noted as Mr. Smoothie, as you'll see from his flying here. Carl also took the award for most flying time during the Jets Over Deland rally. And here Carl goes, airborne and gear up. Nice smooth takeoff. And here he comes on a high-speed flyby. And doing a nice point roll. Another low flyby. And notice how tight Carl keeps that big bird in. Here's a very low flyby. And now Carl's setting up for a landing. Bring that big F-15 Eagle back home. Another successful flight of Carl Spurlock. Nice soft touchdown. Very scale carrier type landing. Mike Cherry has came all the way from Basingstoke, England to show off his new Jim Fox model of the Saab Biggin. Uses a Ramtech fan, OS91 for power. Mike also is the editor-in-chief of the hottest new jet magazine in the world, RC Jet International. And there's Mike preparing this Biggin for another flight. As of this meet, Mike has logged 96 flights in 9 different countries with this particular aircraft. And when Telstar was in England at the end of June, Mike logged his 100th flight. And it looks like Mike's been given permission to taxi to the active runway, and away he goes. Uses a JR PCM 347 radio for guidance. The aircraft weighs 10 pounds, has a 40-inch wingspan. And here's Mike on a high-speed flyby. Notice the canard design. Nice climbing roll. Nice 4-point roll. Another flyby. Now Mike is demonstrating the slow flight capability of this aircraft with the gear down, and it will just about hover. And here comes Mike in, completing another successful flight for the Saab Biggin. This Viper Ultra is piloted by Terry Nitch of Columbus, Ohio. Uses a Viojet BVM 91 JR 10-channel radio for guidance system. The hot lime green and purple modified wing stab and retracts. And looks like Terry's been given permission to taxi to the active runway. Holding short, probably for landing aircraft. And looks like he's ready to go. here he goes. The Viper Ultra is one of the fastest jets on the air show circuit today. These aircraft have been clocked at well over 200 miles an hour. And if you notice the tree line, you can see exactly how fast it's really going. It takes tremendous skill and pilot concentration to keep them in the air. And now it looks like Terry's setting up for landing, slowing it up, and he's back down safely. And taxiing back on the tarmac. And now we see the silver bullet of Norm Meeks. This is known as the Byron BD-5J, uses OS 91, and as most folks are familiar with, you see this aircraft or something very similar to it on the Coors Light commercials. This aircraft was also used in a James Bond movie. It's a single pilot, small jet, and they also perform on the air show circuit, in the full-scale air show circuit, that is. Uses a Futaba PCM radio for guidance system. Now Norm is tweaking the engine there and preparing for another flight. Here he goes. Most unusual and different type of jet aircraft. Weighs 15¼ pounds, 87-inch wingspan. And here Norm goes. Relatively short takeoff with that large wing area. It flies very nicely. Hard right turn, right back into the pattern. Nice roll. And now Norm's making an approach to land, and you'll see the gear come down momentarily, and right on the end of the runway. Nice control of his airspeed, engaging that approach. And good job by Norm Meeks and his silver bullet. And Jerry Cottle with his Maverick from Metropolis, Illinois, uses a Bob Violet Models 91 engine, weighs 14 pounds, has a T-33 style nose gear. Here Jerry's preparing for another flight. There's a good view of the engine. And ground controls giving permission to taxi to the active runway. Jerry actually runs a hobby shop, JC Hobbies, on an airport up in Metropolis. And here he goes, gear up and climbing out. Use a JR 10-channel PCM radio for guidance. They're executing a nice slow roll there. And back in for landing. Slowing it up. They're back on the deck. Pretty little Maverick. And here comes Jerry taxiing back to the tie-down area. This is a Top Guns F-15 Eagle, piloted by Joe Scarata. Uses a OS 91 for power and a Byron fan unit. And this F-15 sits on the deck awaiting instructions from the control tower. Weighs 12 pounds, has 42-inch wingspan, and looks like Joe got those instructions. This Top Gun F-15 is a great introductory level trainer type jet aircraft and is capable of taking off the grass. And here Joe goes. Gear up. And notice how low he goes. Joe really pushes this F-15 on the deck. flies it hard and fast. Nice roll. And here he comes in to land, bringing her back safely. Good carrier style landing, slow and hard. Eric May's A6 Intruder, his own design, built from scratch, from Newtown, Connecticut. This aircraft utilizes the Scale L6 wingtip speed brakes. Very nice cockpit detail. And there's the engine compartment. And preparing for another flight. The power is OS 91 Dynamax fan. Futaba 7-channel PCM radio for guidance. And here Eric goes. Nice takeoff. Gear up. F-20 Tiger Shark, piloted by Bob Lynch from Hialeah, Florida. And he's rolling into position. Futaba PCM radio for guidance, 43-inch wingspan, weighs 15 pounds. And here Bob goes. Bob's flight will be relatively short here. As soon as he makes a turnout, he loses power, has to make an emergency dead stick landing. And next we have an interview with Len Stevens and his swing wing Tornado. Good landing, Bob, considering you didn't have an engine.
My name is Len Stevens. I'm from Lincolnshire, Illinois. The model here I have is a Panavia Tornado. It's put out by ITP right now out of California. It's highly prefabricated. The wings swing in flight, both forward and you can put them back. It's powered by two OS 91s, Byrojet fans. It's got CenturyJet retracts, Robart struts, Glennis wheels and Glennis brakes on it. The kit flies very well, as you've probably seen before. The plane weighs about 24 pounds. It takes 56 ounces of fuel and for about a 6 to 7 minute flight. I have not flown it myself yet. Bob Frenzy has been my test pilot, and he's done a great job. When the wings sweep back, you do not need to change the CG is not affected because you don't have to add any elevator or anything else. It flies pretty much the same forward and back. The last landing we made, the wings only came forward about 2/3 of the way, and it landed just fine.
And Bob Ferenzi prepares for another flight with Len Stevens' Tornado. Bob, having flown the F-14 Tomcats, another swing wing design, is one of the most experienced pilots. No wonder Len uses him as his test pilot. And she's up and away. Flyby there, the aircraft has swept its wing for a supersonic flight. And here it comes for a high-speed flyby. In talking with Bob Ferenzi about the flight characteristics of this aircraft, he thought it performed very well and was very pleased with its performance and its handling. There he executes a roll with it. So look for more of these aircraft in the near future. Now he's setting up his approach for landing. Gear down. Nice Nice job, slowing up well. Very nice job. Now we have Charlie Trivets flying his yellow aircraft, F-14 Tomcat. This is one of the most technologically advanced aircraft on the radio-controlled jet circuit today. The swing wing configuration, the scale retractable landing gear, the spoilerons, the stabulators or full flying stabs. Notice that Charlie uses the same identical color scheme that Bob Fiorenzi uses on his F-14 Tomcat. Later you'll see some flying of the pair of them together. And Charlie's taxiing out and making his approach down the runway. Gorgeous airplane. She's up and away. Charlie utilizes a pair of OS-91s and Ramtech fans in this aircraft for power, JR PCM radio for guidance. Charlie's from Harrington, Delaware. There's a high-speed flyby. Nice roll. And he just swept the wings, you notice, and he prepares for supersonic. Nice high-speed downwind pass. And the wings come forward and prepare for landing, slowing it down some. Makes an approach down the runway and turns out. Gear down, here he comes. Nice job. Oh, lost a tire, but still manages to do a good job to control the aircraft and keep it straight till he slows it down. Good job, Charlie. Whoa, tire. And now the crew had chased down the tire and reinstalled it so Charlie could taxi back to the pit area. Now we have the F-18 Hornet by Yellow Aircraft, Bob Fiorenzi's. This is one of the most unique aircraft on the market today. Notice the cockpit detail, the leading edge slats on the wings. And there, notice the hydraulic lines and the hydraulic fluid reservoir there on the main strut. Very scaled detail. Has operational gear doors. This aircraft utilizes a pair of OS-91s for power. There, notice the knee joint style landing gear system. These aircraft are flown off aircraft carriers and take very hard and forceful landings. And they collapse completely and extend completely when the weight of the aircraft is off of the landing gear system. There's the infamous Playboy Bunny insignia that Bob Fiorenzi is noticed for. He likes the squadron and these type of markings. Notice there all the rivet detail and the panel lines. You can't tell this aircraft from the full-scale aircraft when comparing them rivet for rivet and line for line. Notice there in the cockpit the detail of the ejection seat. This aircraft, this F-18 Hornet here, the one in the Navy markings, is the one that Bob actually won Top Gun with, U.S. Scale Masters with, and also the AMA Nationals. This is the 117 Stealth Fighter. This is actually a prototype that Bob Fiorenzi is doing the research and development for Yellow Aircraft with. Notice the drag chute in the back. This is the aircraft that is invisible to most of the radar detection systems currently used worldwide. Thus the design of this aircraft, it actually penetrates and radar signals bounce off of it and avoids detection. Here Bob goes on another flight with the F-117 Stealth Fighter jet. Notice its unique design in the air. This aircraft is very difficult to read, being all black, the matte finish, and that swept wing. It's hard to tell which way it's going and right side up. And he comes for a high-speed flyby. Banking out hard. And turning 180 degrees and coming right back at the runway. This aircraft uses a pair of OS91s and Dynamax fans for power. Low altitude flyby by Bob really had the crowd on their feet. Now he turns out, banking around. Uses a multiplex 14-channel radio for guidance. Nice slow roll. And here Bob comes in for landing. Add a little power. Nice touchdown. Nice reflare. Notice the drag chute being deployed there to slow down the aircraft. This aircraft will be released sometime late this summer. Rick Schaefer's entry of a Violet Aggressor 2. And Rick also is the operator of Custom Model Products, and he's also the contest director for the Greater Southwest Fan Flight. Here Rick prepares for another flight and fueling up that Aggressor and getting her ready to go. There's a look at the innards of the aircraft, the fan unit, fuel system. This aircraft has a 45-inch wingspan, weighs 11.5 pounds, uses a Futaba 6-channel radio for guidance. Looks like Rick's about got her ready to go. And as he taxis down to the active end of the runway. Been cleared for takeoff. And there he goes. Gear up. Rick's off for another flight. These BVM aircraft really move out. And back in for a nice landing. This pair of Sport Hawks by Century Jet Models are owned by Bob Hodge and Bill Hatcher. They use KBV-82 engines, Futaba radios. Here they're taxiing out together for some formation flying. And there goes one of the Sport Hawks. Weighs in at 12 pounds and uses a BVM pipe. And one comes in for a landing. Slowing it on up. Good job. And there comes the other one. This A7 Corsair is piloted and built by Carl Spurlock. Scratch built, uses OS91 for power and Byron fan unit. This is a earlier model jet, but real nice detail and very scale appointments. Weighs in at 16 pounds. And now Carl's getting ready to spool it up for another flight. Carl flies a fleet of jet aircraft, including a Byron F-16, an F-86 Sabre jet, F-20 Tiger Shark, along with that Byron F-15 we saw at the beginning. And here Carl goes with that A7 Corsair. And gears up. And here he comes for high speed, low flyby. Nice job. Very scale looking flying. You may notice how smooth Carl is on the controls. This aircraft flies just like the full scale. Not a lot of jerking and erratic motion in the aircraft's flight characteristics. And pulling vertical, pull just nice climbing roll into a right turn, gear down and back in for a landing. Slowing it up. Very nice job by Carl Spurlock. This jet model product, Starfire, is piloted by Paul McCauley from Township, Michigan. Uses OS91 for power, Dynamax fan, and Futaba 8-channel PCM for guidance. Weighs in at 10 3/4 pounds, has a 51-inch span, and uses also a JMP quiet pipe. And here goes Paul. Nice, gear up, and away he goes. Good visibility, that bright yellow aircraft. And Paul's back on the ground. And now we have Wayne Mann, world champion heli pilot, flying a miniature aircraft, XL-60. And you notice how he took off and rolled inverted. Yes, your eyes were not lying to you. Helicopters, RC, can fly upside down, just like they do right side up, as you see there. And now he rolls it back to right side up. And now Wayne is continuing to demonstrate why he's one of the best in the world. And this is our lunchtime activities to give folks a demonstration of this more than jet aircraft. There's a nice point roll, 4-point roll by a helicopter. Most people wouldn't believe that's possible. And notice the 780 stall turn there. Nice loop. Wayne is one of the smoothest. He actually competed recently in Australia in the World Championships as one of our FAI team members. There's a flip forward, actually doing some tumbles. Wayne is flying with a method is known as switchless inverted, where the helicopter maintains constant rotor speed. Yes, he's flying the helicopter backwards there. And now he's back into forward flight. Slow pirouette at the end of the stall turn. A little sideways flying, a little backwards flying, sideways, and back to forward flight. There's some high-speed pirouettes, real slow and precise. 540 stall turn. Now Wayne's doing what's known as a nose-on circle, where he is standing out of view there, but that helicopter is looking straight at him. He's flying it sideways with the nose pointed at him, one of the most difficult maneuvers to perform as a helicopter pilot. Inverted climb out. Now he rolls it right side up. Now Wayne's coming in for an auto rotation with the engine shut down to just a bare idle. Notice the pitch came in as he slowed it up. Good job. Now we have Don Muddeman of the famous Cloud Dancers Air Show team. He's flying a Progressive Miniature Aviation flying machine, which Don designed and is kitted and distributed by Progressive Miniature Aviation. Notice the snap spins. This aircraft is extremely agile and has tremendous reflex ability, as demonstrated right there. The aircraft used all of its forward speed with abrupt control inputs and translated that speed into the gyrations you just saw. Now he's flying a knife edge circle, and he's waving to the crowd using the rudder on the knife edge. Quick turnabout, a little snap roll, another snap, snap to the left, snap to the right, back to the left, back to the right. Now he's in it, almost a spin. Now Don has brought the aircraft down low, bleeding off airspeed, so he can demonstrate the power to weight ratio. There he's actually hovering the airplane like it's a helicopter. And fighting it, she stalls out and he flies out of it. Now Don is flying straight and level. You see how fast that little airplane can fly. And coming in for a dead stick landing. And he's back down, and notice how far he has to walk after the airplane. Terry Nitch and his Violet F-86 Saberjet. Actually, Terry took best of show with this aircraft and best finish. Notice the gun smoke residue on the machine gun ports there on the fuselage. And Terry taxis down to the active end of the runway, prepares for another flight. Notice the flaps down for takeoff position, and he's ready to roll. And there goes Terry. Gear up. Hard climbing turnout. And downwind. Here Terry comes by on doing a nice slow roll for us. Painstakingly slow roll. Takes a lot of skill to roll an aircraft that slow and keep it flying in a straight line. Now he's doing the Emmelman for us and rolls out level again. And here Terry comes in for a landing. Nice touchdown. She taxis back to the tarmac. Now we have the F-15, Byron's F-15 of the Cloud Dancers. Don Muddleman's preparing it for another flight. This aircraft weighs 35 pounds, uses a pair of OS-91s for power, has a functional dive brake. You see the flaperons, a quick check of all the control surfaces prior to takeoff. As you'll notice, this aircraft stays extremely close to the runway. Don Muddleman is probably one of the best pilots in the world and flies this aircraft just like he does that small little sport ship, the flying machine. There's a roll on takeoff. You don't see many of those. Now here's a high-speed low flyby and a hard climb out. And he keeps pushing it over and over. And here he comes back down, rolls right side up. 180-degree direction reversal. Pushing that big F-15 through its paces. Knife edge down the runway, holding it back to level flight. Takes a lot of airspeed for this large aircraft to hold that knife edge maneuver. And back down the runway again. You notice that Don works the runway very hard. Their internationally acclaimed air show team flies about 2 shows a month. They spend a lot of time in the air flying these aircraft. There's some consecutive rolls showing the quick roll rate of such a large aircraft. Hard tight turn inside of the crowd, back to a hard right bank, flying a real tight figure 8 right out in front of the runway for us, and back down the runway. Hard vertical, pulling it right on around, rolling back upright. Around again. This is a real crowd pleaser. Gear down, setting up for his landing approach. Notice the dive brake. They're right behind the cockpit as he comes in to help slow down that big bird. Good job. As he taxies back to the pit area. There's the dive brake. And Dave Ribb, with his Aggressor 2, took top honors this year at Jets Over Deland with the highest speed of 218 miles an hour. I wonder if that red color had anything to do with that speed. And he's up and away. Uses a BVM 91 engine for power, JR 10-channel PCM radio. Wow, look at that thing go. This aircraft weighs 12 pounds, has a 52-inch wingspan, and here he comes again. And is that thing moving out? Nice quick roll. And another high-speed pass. Mostly Dave was shooting through the speed trap there, trying to attain and working towards that goal of 218 miles an hour. And back in for a landing. Now we have the F-15 Sport Eagle by JIL Miniature Aircraft, flown by Robert Barnes. Robert is also the chief flight instructor for JIL Miniature Aircraft, where they train pilots to fly airplanes, helicopters, and jets. This aircraft is used as a primary ducted fan trainer for JIL. The color scheme, as you might be wondering, is used for snow-capped mountainous terrain, where it blends in with the top of the mountains. But it has been nicknamed the Flying Dalmatian. Notice the fixed gear. Has a 44-inch wingspan, and there Robert goes on a nice takeoff. Uses a K&B 45 engine for power and Turbax 1 fan unit. This makes this a very economical package and the good entry level for a beginner into jets. All balsa wood construction makes it easy to build with no fiberglass, and none of the more advanced. Here's a touch and go by Robert. Notice how hard that aircraft hits the ground. It takes that kind of punishment day in and day out at JIL Miniature Aircraft. Now getting the wings back level, gaining airspeed, and climbing back out. Robert had some problems with his fuel system, and you'll notice here that he's coming in from the left, a downwind landing, slows it up nice, touches down, makes a high-speed turnoff. Excellent job, and Robert also took closest to target speed. And Hicks Milner flying his Violet Viper from Atlanta, Georgia. Hicks has been off the jet circuit for a while, and all the guys are glad to see him back. He's a real nice individual. And there he goes on his takeoff. Has flaps and retracts. Uses a KBV 81 for power. There's some nice rolls. If you'll notice that Hicks is happy to see those rolls, that they clicked and were working. Finally got that down the way he wants it. Here he comes in. Nice flyby. Powering up. And there's his son, Lanier, which is going to be an up-and-coming jet pilot. And here's a downwind landing. And next, coming up, we have an interview with Peter Berner and his flying pod.
Hi, my name is Peter Brunner. This is my newest design. It's called the Pod, Pete's own design. I've been building it for about 8 to 10 months. It's styrofoam and balsa construction. I'm currently coming out with fiberglass kits of this. This one happens to weigh around 40 pounds. We flew it yesterday and center of gravity wasn't quite right on it. We hope to get it right today and go back and come out with 20-pound versions of kits. Probably this summer we'll be ready to go. But it's a new stealthy look that I've come up with, and it runs with twin OS 91s with Dynamax fans and some Jet Century model products, landing gear. Got a lot of looks and hope it'll go.
Now we have Pete Berner's pod, Pete's own design, and well, we'll see if this thing will fly or not. And he taxied down. Here goes Pod on its takeoff roll. And she's gaining speed. Looks like she's about to leave the ground. Ouch! Well, looks like we may have had a center of gravity problem there. Maybe some adjustments, and she'll fly better the next time. Looks like she's a little tail heavy there. Once the nose gets enough lift and she gets enough airspeed, that the tail just pulls right on under. Well, we hope that Pete and his pod can get the problems worked out. We'd like to see this thing fly. Now we have an A6 intruder preparing to depart. And note carefully as he lifts off, and it looks like he rolls the wrong way, comes level and rolls over, that the aileron controls could have been reversed. Here he starts to rotate, wants to roll to the left, the aircraft goes to the right. It's important to check the control direction and not just movement of the control surfaces. There he rolls right back over again, unless he had radio problems. Minor damage surface, it could be a lesson learned. Have a little Sport Hawk is demonstrating a porpoising bouncing technique that's not really advisable. The first bounce, it looks like he eases off the elevator, which lets the nose drop. Where if he'd went to full elevator and maybe added some power, he could have stopped the porpoising of the aircraft. And this resulted in only minor damage, scuffed wingtips, and excessive tire wear. And she's able to return to the pits safely. Now we have Bob Fiorenzi's F-14 Tomcat. We want to show you a little more of his flying there with the wings swept. Just let you enjoy a little more of this flying. There the wings are pushed forward in the sub-supersonic mode and preparing for landing. And notice after Bob touches down that he comes in with power, touches down relatively fast, and then he puts the brakes on, stops the aircraft. This unfortunately will be the last flight of the day for this F-14 Tomcat. Adding power, bleeding off airspeed, nice scale touchdown, and watch that aircraft slow up. Come to a halt right there. Unlock the brakes, sweep the wings, and taxi back to the hangar. Prepare for what will be the last flight of the day. Now we have Bob Fiorenzi. He's refueled and he's back airborne again. And there you saw just into the picture is Charlie Trivets. He is also flying an F-14 Tomcat. The aircraft are identical in color, so you have to be very careful watching your aircraft and not watching your buddies. Here's a low flyby. Nice roll. I think that was Bob Fiorenzi. Now they're in the swept wing position, the supersonic. And here comes a high-speed flyby. Charlie Trivets and Bob Fiorenzi, flying identical aircraft, are starting to do a little formation work. And as you'll notice later, it proves to be fatal. Banking around, you'll see them pair up at different times when they coordinate and come into your field of view. And they were attempting, there you go, now you see them both trying to close the gap and pull in tighter and tighter in formation. With these large aircraft and all the expense and the value of these, you want to be very careful. It's very difficult for an RC pilot to gauge the speed and his closure rate from one aircraft to another. Now you see him kind of lining up there. And there's Charlie's swept wing. Bob flies under him. He cleans off his vertical stabilizers. He goes into a flat spin and a stall, just like in Top Gun. And you see what happens to that aircraft. The engines go to full power. But Charlie was shaken very badly, left his aircraft unassisted to run over. There, Charlie's in trouble. He almost stalls the aircraft. You see the wings start to rock. She could stall and fall out of the air. He gets on the power to power up to try to get back to the runway. At this time, Bob got over and was talking to him to help calm him down and talking through getting back on the ground and protecting his aircraft. There he comes into the air, got her back on the ground safely, and the nose gear folded. At least one of the aircraft were spared, and Bob's aircraft appears to be destroyed, laying there at full power. Now in slow motion, Bob's approaching from the right side of the screen. He's going to fly just under. He's going to make contact with Charlie's nose. That's what freezes the landing gear, the nose gear. There, Bob sheds one of his vertical stabilizers, losing the vertical stability of the aircraft. Notice very carefully the stabulators on the back of the aircraft. You'll notice them in the full up position. Bob, being the expert pilot, knows he's lost control. He's going to go in, but he's going to hold on the elevator, trying to get that aircraft and keep it in a flat spin to slow up its descent rate. The slower it hits the ground, the less damage it will incur. You can see it starting to flatten out a little bit. Just like in Top Gun, this is what happens. One of the engines, in fact, did die after impact, and the other one stayed on. And you see her flat spin right into the ground. And Bob's unselfishness to leave his aircraft and assist his fellow pilot won him the Sportsmanship Award. And here, incredibly, after only 2 weeks, is that same F-14 of Bob Fiorenzi's. And upcoming, the reconstruction article in Model Aviation News, how to reconstruct and rebuild your damaged aircraft. Now, this T-33 of Malcolm K is preparing for another flight from England. Uses a Futaba 9 channel, weighs 16 pounds, and here goes Malcolm. Malcolm took home the Best Military Jet Award with this aircraft. Very nice color scheme and finish on this aircraft. And here goes Malcolm. Features flaps and speed brakes, uses a 1960s U.S. Navy markings. White and day glow red. He's up and away. And here goes Malcolm on a downwind flyby. And Gus Hudson with a BVM T-33 is taxiing down to the active end of the runway. Preparing for another flight. U.S. Air Force markings there. T-33 is used as a trainer. You notice the dual pilots. And here he goes. Gus is using a Futaba 7 channel, 16.5 pounds, 81-inch wingspan. And now he's up and gear up. And Gus is off for another flight. Gus comes in from Sulphur Springs, Texas. Nice 4-point roll. And brakes left, turns away from the runway. Now he's doing an 8-point roll. And he's back down. Another successful mission completed by Gus Hudson. His U.S. Air Force T-33. This MiG-29 from Top Gun Aircraft is piloted by Jim Braun. It didn't fly at Jets Over Deland, but notice that excellent cockpit detail. All the instrumentations look absolutely authentic in there. Very nice matte finish. And we hope to see this aircraft flying real soon. And Mike Knapp's entry is a Sterner P-80 with an OS-91 and U.S. Air Force markings. 68-inch wingspan, weighs 12 pounds. Airtronic 6-channel for guidance system. Humberto Palmez is a Tom Cook Starfire. Uses OS-91. And Humberto is from Kissimmee, Florida. Has a 52-inch wingspan. Uses a Futaba PCM radio for guidance. And weighs in at 13 pounds. This Byron F-16 is piloted by Dan Massey, and he's one of the good old boys from out in Texas. He comes in from Maynard, Texas. Uses a Rossi 81 for power, a Byron fan, and JR 7-channel radio for guidance system. It's in the General Dynamics color scheme. And this concludes the flying portion of the 4th annual Jets Over Deland in Deland, Florida, one of the premier jet flying events in the country. And the fastest jet award went to Dave Ribb with his Aggressor 2. Lynn Elsner's F-86 Saberjet took the quietest jet honors. And Robert Barnes with his F-15 Eagle took closest to target speed. And Carl Spurlock logged the most flights during the week. Greg Fitzpatrick traveled the farthest distance from Herts, England. Bob Fiorenzi took the Technical Achievement Award with his F-14 Tomcat. And Best Sportsman Award went to Bob Fiorenzi for his assistance of Charlie Trivets with that mid-air collision. Best scale flight was tied between the F-14 Tomcat and the F-117 Stealth Fighter. Malcolm Kay, Best Military Jet with his T-33. Terry Nitsch, Best in Show with his F-86 Saberjet. Best non-military went to Bill Harris with his BBM Maverick. And this concludes the 4th annual Jets Over Deland